welcome back to Strawberry Lumps and welcome back to the Nerd Box. You have me here with my lovely, lovely dog who is being very needy at the moment, so he's just chilling out in my lap here. Today, I'm actually going to put you down. Come on. Go, just sit here. Yes, just sit here. While I am taking care of my dog, today I'm going to be talking about The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. I am very, very late to this bandwagon, but I really don't care because I'm pretty sure the last one came out in May, so, I mean, what better time to read it, to be honest. My sister actually lent me this book. It's hers because I was having trouble sleeping one night, and she thought that reading would help me go to sleep. This book did not help me sleep at all. So first things first, we're going to be talking... Well, okay, yeah, I'm going to put this down. First things first, we're going to be talking about plot. The Fifth Wave primarily follows a 16-year-old girl named Cassie, who is on her own after having lost her mother and her father to the previous wave, and she's looking for her brother. That is her primary drive. She's looking for her brother who was taken from her, essentially. There is another side story that comes in that follows a character who comes to be known as Zombie, who ends up being somebody that Cassie knows. I don't want to spoil much, so I'm going to leave that very vague, but yes. I really, really, really liked how they opened up the novel, with the introduction and with the first initial opening lines and Cassie's introduction. The introduction to the novel itself gave a very creepy, unnerving vibe to the entire novel, which follows it throughout as you read. And it's really good because it sets the proper atmosphere, especially considering that humanity is on its last legs, and there are only a scattered few survivors left. Cassie feels like she's all alone, and she's constantly struggling with that loneliness, and the whole she can't trust anybody except for herself. It's good. It keeps that in mind. It sets the tone. It sets a good tone. And then Cassie is introduced. She doesn't actually introduce herself until the second chapter, which is interesting even though the first chapter is only about a page and a half long. But you know, that's totally fine. She doesn't introduce herself until the second chapter, and the way she does it is really humorous. And she brings this sarcastic sort of humor to this very dark situation, and I find that really refreshing because it's a good balance. Because you can't have something very Victorian-esque and gloomy and dark and creepy the entire time, because otherwise it's a hassle to read, and there's nothing enjoyable about the book, unless you're into that sort of thing, in which case I don't judge. To each their own. But Cassie brings a dark humor to it, which is, it's good. It makes you laugh while you're reading. Despite the dire circumstances that she's in, she still manages to crack jokes, she still manages to be sarcastic and witty and funny, and it's great. So the writing, especially for Cassie, is really good because it's a great balance between the dark, grim situation that they're in and Cassie's humor. Characters. Well, we might as well start out with Cassie since she is the primary protagonist. In case you haven't noticed already, I love Cassie. I love Cassie to bits because she's very consistent throughout the book. Her main drive, as I've said before, is to find her brother. And despite everything that happens throughout the book, she still manages to stay focused on that goal. I need to find my brother. I've already mentioned her humor, which is refreshing and great. And I love how determined she is. It's really, really great to see somebody like this who will go into the deep end without any hesitation just so she can save her little brother. Her little brother, by the way, is only 5 years old. So the dedication and determination she has to find her brother is, I love it. I love that part of her character. It's one of my favorite parts about her. She isn't very trusting, which is, I guess you could say, a flaw as well as a strength, because in these circumstances you don't really know who to trust. She addresses why in the book, and I'm not going to go too far into it, but she's very suspicious of everything, and she's sometimes a little too quick to act. But she's a great character. She's very well-rounded, and she can be harsh. She's very sarcastic and humorous, and I've already been through all of this. I love Cassie. Cassie is my favorite. She's one of the best YA protagonists I have ever come across. She's right up there with Katniss Everdeen. I love her very much. She even highlights how she's changed herself, so she's very self-aware in that sense. Because obviously, after seeing so many people die, you're not going to be the same. Now we talk about Evan. Evan is the mysterious person, I guess the mysterious boy that she meets as she is on the search for her brother. Evan essentially saves her life, and I don't really like Evan. I don't want to say that he didn't have a purpose in the book, but his only purpose was to go up against Cassie's purpose in the book. I guess in a way he is an antagonist, but not a very well-rounded one. I found him boring. I thought that we could have had a little bit more insight on him and his thoughts, and my primary question with Evan is why. He says, spoiler alert, though I guess not really, you kind of see it coming. He says that he's in love with Cassie, but you don't really understand why. And that's my biggest problem. Everything about him is a little too mysterious. It's a little too shrouded. It's a little too unknown. And if we had just like a little bit more insight as to who he was and how he thinks and his internal struggle, if we had a little bit more insight on that, I think I would like him a little more. But as he is in the novel, as he's presented, the way the novel is right now, I don't like him. Because he could be a lot more than what is given to us, I guess. Zombie. Zombie is one of the secondary characters of this novel. He is actually somebody that Cassie knows, but I'm not going to say who. Not going to say who. I love Zombie's character arc. It's a great, great character arc. He's had his share of trauma. He's lost people. At this point, everybody's lost people, so that doesn't make him special. What makes him special is how he deals with it, and how he changes in the way that he deals with it. Initially, it's stated that he has a little sister, about the same age as Cassie's brother, 5 years old. She was lost in one of the many catastrophes that occurred before the book happened. And he feels like he could have done more to save her. Though that might be a little bit of survivor's guilt, he's also a little right. And when he meets Nugget, he projects that feeling of protection that he should have given to his sister in her time of need. He projects that onto Nugget, and he actually succeeds. I really, really love Zombie as a character because of the way he changes throughout the book. He challenges the people around him, not externally, internally, especially after some time. He eventually finds out the truth of what's going on around him and how what's going on is not right, and he fights against it. And it's something that I find really, really brave, because not everybody can do that, and not everybody is smart enough to do that. Of course, he had some help from a lovely gal whose name I can't remember, right now. Give me a second. Ringer. Her name is Ringer. Okay. I love the way he changes as a character. He grows and becomes stronger for it. It's great. It's wonderful, and I love it. Nugget, I can't really say much about Nugget. He is, again, like many people, well, many kids, very, very young. He's very, very young. And he's been through a lot of trauma. And he can't fully process it. He's not exactly sure as to what's going on. He does get better throughout the books. He stops being like a scared little boy and becomes a brave little boy. But that's about as much as I can say for Nugget. He is a small boy who is thrown into a battle for grown-ups. And it's very unfortunate because he's a kid. He's practically a baby, and he shouldn't have to deal with all of this stuff, but the circumstances of the situation dictate that he has to. I definitely can't wait to see more of him in the books, because as of this book, he's just a helpless little boy. And I feel bad. He deserves better. He deserves a better world, and that's something that he can't have right now. He deserves a world where he can grow up proper. He doesn't have to grow up too quickly, and he can play with friends, but he can't have that, and it breaks my heart. Another thing I want to talk about this book is the way that it keeps you guessing. It doesn't give you everything straight away. It keeps you confused. It makes you second guess the people that you've been introduced to. It's got talent. Rick Yancey knows what he's doing, and I like it. I like it a lot, because you're introduced to a certain character, and he makes himself seem to be the bad guy. In Cassie's eyes, in Zombie's eyes, this person is a good guy, and you don't know who to believe exactly. You don't know who to believe, and it keeps you guessing, and it's all very mysterious, and as you and the characters go figuring it out, it's astonishing. I do, however, have one, not really an issue, just another interesting point about this book. The way that they describe the aliens, mostly to Zombie, to Nugget, and everybody else in that bit of the novel, it's very reminiscent of the aliens from The Host, in a way that it's sort of like a very spindly sort of creature that inhabits the inside of your body, and it was very reminiscent of that. Different, yes. Definitely different. And it doesn't end up being like that. So, points to Rick Yancey for that. It's something I found interesting. It's very reminiscent of the aliens from The Host. Yes, I read The Host. Boy, did I read The Host. So overall, I think I would give this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Mostly because of Evan. I wish we could have had a little bit more development with Evan. Everything else, I loved. I loved the writing, I loved the characters, I loved the setting, I loved how the plot unfolded. Everything was great. I just wish we could have had a little bit more exploration with one of the semi-main characters of the book. So yeah. Next up, I'm going to be reading The Infinite Sea, which is the next book in this series. And I guess that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening to me babble about a book. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. If you guys want to read this yourselves, I seriously recommend it, and I will see you on Friday.